After meeting as teenagers and enjoying a 73-year marriage, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip's love story really is one for the ages. One particularly memorable event in their enduring relationship was their royal wedding on 20 November 1947, which saw a 21-year-old Princess Elizabeth exchange vows with the then 26-year-old Prince of Greece and Denmark. On what would have been their 75th anniversary, look back at the late monarch's romantic wedding day with her strength and stay. The Duke of Edinburgh. Their big day came 13 years after the couple first met in 1934 at the wedding of his cousin, Princess Marina of Greece. The teenagers stayed in contact via letters, and in 1946, they became secretly engaged, but reportedly postponed announcing the news until 1947, when her father George VI gave them permission to wed. Philip gave up his Greek citizenship and title and took on a family surname, becoming Lieutenant Philip Mountbatten. The newlyweds had their official portrait in the throne room at Buckingham Palace alongside their close family members, including Queen Mary, mother of King George VI, and Prince Philip's mother Princess Alice of Battenberg. Philip's three sisters were reportedly declined an invite because they had all married German princes, and the wedding took place just 2 years after the end of World War II, and tensions were still high in Britain. On her wedding day, wearing a beautifully embroidered dress by Norman Hartnell, Princess Elizabeth arrived at Westminster Abbey in the Irish state coach with her father King George VI. Since her wedding occurred while Britain's austerity measures were still in place after World War II, Elizabeth famously saved up ration coupons to purchase the material needed to make her gown. Elizabeth's embroidered wedding gown was made of ivory Duchesse satin and decorated with 10,000 pearls imported from the U.S. The royal's bridal bouquet was made up of white orchids and a sprig of myrtle, which had been snipped from a bush grown from the myrtle in Queen Victoria's wedding bouquet. The day after the nuptials, Princess Elizabeth's flowers were laid on the grave of the unknown soldier in Westminster Abbey. Princess Elizabeth with her marvelous complexion and Prince Philip such a devastatingly handsome naval officer. He looked tender, she was adoring. They really were a dream couple, bridesmaid Lady Pamela Hicks told The Telegraph. The bride's wedding look, which included a double-strand royal heirloom pearl necklace, would not have been complete without a stunning tiara. Princess Elizabeth wore Queen Mary's fringe tiara, consisting of 47 diamond bars using stones taken from a necklace Queen Mary had been given by Queen Victoria. The fringe tiara, passed on to Princess Elizabeth's mother in 1936, was loaned to the young princess as the something borrowed element of her wedding outfit. The future Queen Elizabeth II's bridal ensemble also included a 13-feet star-patterned full-court train attached at the shoulders and a silk tulle veil held in place by her mother's tiara. Like the gown, the veil and train, with their bursts of stars and flowers, were inspired by Botticelli's Primavera. The bride and groom are seen walking down the aisle, followed by their 8 bridesmaids and 2 page boys during the ceremony, which was officiated by both the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Archbishop of York. The groom, who was now styled as the Duke of Edinburgh, presented his princess with a wedding band of Welsh gold to wear alongside her engagement ring. The bride's parents, King George VI and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, are seen making their way down the aisle of Westminster Abbey. Behind him is a regal Queen Mary, George V's mother, who was Queen Consort from 1910 to 1936. The more than 2,000 guests at the spectacular nuptials, which were broadcast by BBC Radio to 200 million people around the world, turned out in their finest furs and jewels. Here are 2 of Princess Elizabeth's close relatives, the Duchess of Kent and the Duchess of Gloucester. The newlyweds waved from the royal carriage at the crowds gathered at Parliament Square. What is a royal wedding without a royal wave? Here the newlyweds gather with the wedding party on the balcony of Buckingham Palace after returning from the ceremony. Left to right: Princess Margaret, Margaret Elphinstone, Diana Bowes-Lyon, Lady Caroline Montagu Douglas-Scott, Lady Elizabeth Lambert, best man the Marquess of Milford Haven, the bride and groom, Lady Mary Cambridge and Lady Pamela Mountbatten. The wedding reception was held at Buckingham Palace, where guests were presented with posies of white heather and myrtle as favors. The wedding cake was a grand affair, standing 9 feet high, weighing 500 pounds and featuring 4 tiers. Made from ingredients received from the Australian Girl Guides, the cake was cut using Philip's sword. One layer was kept until the christening of Prince Charles, and another was sent back to Australia as a thank you. Princess Elizabeth and Prince Philip honeymooned in Hampshire, England, at the historic Broadlands house owned by Philip's uncle, Lord Mountbatten, and at Birkhill on the Balmoral estate. Here, the newlyweds are seen looking over their wedding photographs in Romsey, Hampshire. Almost exactly 1 year after exchanging vows, Elizabeth and Philip welcomed the first of their 4 children, Prince Charles, on November 14, 1948. And less than 5 years later, the young princess was proclaimed queen.